So today is August 9th, 2024. We are here with Becky Sowards, who grew up in large part in the Globe, Arizona stake. She's agreed to share a few of her thoughts and memories with us as part of the Globe Stake 50th Anniversary video series. Sister Sowards, can you start off by telling us a little bit about your background, where you came from, how you got here, and some things along those lines?
So in 1978, my sister Kathy and I were adopted to family here in Globe, Arizona, Ed and Shirley Dawson. Before that, my sister and I, we were at an orphanage for a little while. My dad passed away, so my mom, there were 7 children in our family, and she wasn't able to take care of all of the children. So we were at the orphanage to be adopted, and I guess make the long story short, I have a Korean, we call him uncle, but he's more like a cousin, but he's much older than I was, so we call him our Korean uncle. But anyways, he was the only member in our Korean family that was member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he shared many years ago that he had a dream where his grandfather came and told him where our family was. I guess at the time, they were all separated. So anyways, from Seoul, he came to a little town called Danyang in a different province, and he came and found our family and saw the destitute of how poor our financial situations were. So he decided that we need to be adopted to member families. So I actually have a younger brother and sister that were adopted to member family in Provo, Utah. And then my sister and I were adopted a year later to Ed and Shirley Dawson here in Globe. So that's how we came to Globe. And when we came to Globe, my parents already had other children here. They had Eric and Trisha, and we also had Navajo sisters that lived with us. I think they kind of started on the placement program, but they pretty much lived with us many years. And my dad, being a judge, he always had kids going in and out of our home. So we had lots and lots of. So I can't tell you how many siblings I had. We just were surrounded with lots of kids and just a big family always.
So this Korean cousin, uncle, was he a member of the church even back then when you were in Korea?
Yes. Yeah, that's how we were adopted. All 4 of us ended up being adopted to LDS, or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints family.
So back in Korea, did you have any understanding of the church, or did this uncle or I guess technically as a cousin, did you know him well? Did that seem strange?
It was because we just were told that he was our cousin, and I stayed at the orphanage for a little while, but I went and lived with his family for a little while before we were adopted, and so we would go to church with him, the church, and I remember seeing a picture of President Kimball in the church building, and they said he was a prophet, and I just knew that he was. Little did I know that my mom, we are related to the Kimballs, so that just made it even more special when I found out later. But I remember seeing his picture and just how special and just knowing that at that time that he was a prophet of God.
So what was it like coming to America? Did the Dawsons go out to Korea and fly back with you, or was there someone that flew with you from Korea to bring you here and then you met them? How did that work out?
Actually, my cousin, uncle, he immigrated to LA, so my sister and I came with them to LA. We flew into LA, and my parents came and picked us up at the LA airport. And so my parents, Eric and Trisha, they all came and picked us up.
So did you have any English at that time?
I knew the alphabet and the word apple Mm, I think that's about it. Or maybe a little bit more, but it was not.
Did they give you a lot of apples at the beginning because that's a word you could use? Or?
No, actually, my parents, when they picked us up, we flew into Phoenix Airport, and then we stayed at a hotel, and they took it to Toys R Us. We're so excited. We went and we each got to pick a toy out. Of all things, I don't know why I picked a Barbie doll. And then they took us to, I think it's called Big Johnson's. It's like a Western restaurant, and oh my goodness, they order hamburger for us, and we're used to these little tiny burgers, but they're like humongous, and we just looked at each other like, we can't eat all this. So that was beginning of our, I guess, our American way of life.
Was it? Was the language? How big of a challenge was that? I mean, obviously your parents didn't speak any Korean. Did it take a while to get used to? How did you feel about it?
It did. My mom spoke to a linguist, and they suggested that my sister and I not speak Korean to each other. I think I'm sure, snuck in here and there when nobody was around. But we did best we could to, speak English. And we got to Arizona on April, I think about 10th, 1978, and we started elementary school from there. And matter of fact, Susie Flake and Martha Flake came to our house our first day of school, and we walked down to East Globe. So it was rough. I remember I got a D in spelling, but A+ in math, because you don't have to know English to do math, really. But so my mom, she is making sure that we succeed. So that summer, few summers we would go to we had a family cabin in Show Low, and she would teach us spelling and speak English. And so yes, we were taught by my mom, who is a school teacher by trade. So she was a great teacher.
Do you remember much? Did you understand exactly what was happening when you got on the plane? I mean, did you know, okay, I'm leaving and this is it? What was that like?
I think because life was so hard in Korea, we always probably kind of scavenging for food, going up to I can probably top every grandma's story. No electricity, no running water. My mom was a cook for woodcutters way up in the mountains, and she was gone probably weeks at a time with 4 young kids at home. And so we would, go up to the mountains and to go look for berries and things to eat. And, a few times we'd find bird eggs. So that was a big treat. But so I think growing up in those poor conditions, we were super, super excited to be adopted because, in Korea, I think at that time it was a very poor country, and people would always talk about America being the land of milk and honey. But I was super, super sad and disappointed that actually I didn't get to take a bath in milk. I still had to do chores and cook and all those things. I thought I was moving into a castle.
So your parents were members of the Globe First Ward,
Mm-hmm.
and very active members. What was it like coming to church here in Globe once you got here?
At that time we had primary in the afternoon. I think Susie and Martha, they would come to our house, and with my siblings, Eric and Trisha, we would walk down to church. For me, I feel like I just had a strong testimony from the get-go, not from what people were saying, but I think just being surrounded by good people. When we came, my parents had the missionaries come over, and we took missionary discussions, and obviously we didn't understand a lot, but it was film strip at the time, and I remember elders, giving us the lesson, and hearing the story about Joseph Smith for the first time. I just had a strong testimony that it did happen. So I feel like, and the teachers and people were just so nice at church, teaching us. I think there's Sister Jenkins teaching us music in primary. I just loved and enjoyed going to church.
So did it, yeah, you mentioned that you had gone to church, at least for a little bit of it, over in Korea. Did you connect the two as being the same? The church in Korea and then the church here in Seoul?
Yes, definitely. I mean, they have, pictures of the prophets here, and I always felt very calm, I think, when I, walked into the church, just because my parents were members. I didn't want my testimony to be built just on that. Of course, that was, my beginning steps of that. But I think as teenager, you still kind of question, okay, well, is it all true? So, I mean, I went to music camp at NAU, and I remember with my friends, we went to different church, and I don't know, when I stepped in, it just didn't feel quite right. And even with friends here in Globe, went to the Catholic church, and we were all good friends and things, but my heart always was at peace when I came to church here. So I feel like my testimony began with my parents' teachings, but I gained my own testimony through study and, going to different churches, and kind of like what Joseph Smith did, so.
Now, when you got here, I'm trying to think, I think you probably would have gone to the old Globe Chapel.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of memories do you have of that building?
They had lots of fun activities. I remember going there for primary. That was so fun. And they had a special activity there. I'm sure it was just a big ward activity. I think it was probably cultural night. So my sister and I made lots and lots of mandu. I don't know how good it was at the time because we were only 10 and 12.
Tell us what mandu is.
Mandu is, I guess, like pot stickers. So with a little bit of meat and veggies, with a little, like a dumpling, pot stickers. So, and we made lots of those and shared with people, wore our Korean dresses, and so, yeah, just a lot of fun gatherings with the members.
What memories do you have of this stake center being built?
I was here when they began this, and I remember actually where the chapel is, coming up and help cleaning, and we're sweeping it up. And I remember they held a special dance there, and I remember my grandpa Larson, he came, and I remember dancing with him at that dance, so that was super special. So I love the stake center. I would say it's one of the most beautiful stake centers.
So what other memories do you have of different activities and events that occurred in your youth here in the Globe State?
Probably lots of fun ones were actually the road shows when they used to have those. The whole stake would get together, and beforehand, I think each ward and branches, the members, they wrote up a play, and the youth, they learned to sing and dance and act. And we would put on a play on the stage in the cultural hall, and I remember learning a dance to Michael Jackson's song. I kind of still remember it a little bit, fun. So the road shows were super fun. Young women's camp, and let's see.
Any particular young women's camp memories that you'd like to share?
It was up in Young. I mean, just preparing and going up there was just so much. The car rides actually up there, I felt like was just so good because we got to just talk with the youth leaders about life, and them giving us advice about when they were young, and sharing their testimonies. So I feel like the road trip was super special because I felt like it was a long way up there, but it was just beautiful. We had a lot of certifications that we needed to do, but it was a beautiful place where you can feel close to the Spirit, because I remember just, running water with these beautiful yellow flowers, and so it was just a beautiful place to strengthen your testimony.
One big activity that affected a lot of young women and their leaders um, back when you were a young woman was the Horizon. I think they called it Horizon.
Yes, at NAU.
At NAU. Did you get to participate in that?
I did. That was really neat. I think all the girls from Arizona that were young women's age got to go. And I remember going with my sister, and I don't remember how long the run was, but I remember doing one of the runs with all the girls for one of our physical activity. I remember Sister Cap speaking at the time, and one thing I remember from her talk was, you know, because I think the youth, they always compare themselves and things, and one of the advice she gave was, don't ever point out things you don't like about yourself. She goes, if you have big, you know, feet or whatever, don't tell people, oh, I don't like my big feet, because she says people will just zoom at your feet when they see you. So I don't know why that always stuck out to me. But Elder Dunn, I couldn't believe, he sang a cappella, How Great Thou Art. And so that's been one of my favorite songs after I heard him sing. And I just love that song, How Great Thou Art. And you could just feel his spirit as he was singing it to all these girls at the sacrament meeting that we had in that gym with thousands of girls. And I remember the sacrament, we partook of the sacrament, and it took a long time, but it was definitely a place where you could feel the spirit. So I loved Horizon.
So you graduated from Gulf High School. I believe you went to BYU, is that correct?
Yes.
And you also served a mission.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your mission.
I was called to Busan, Korea mission. And when I first got there, I took some Korean at BYU, but you can't really learn it in a classroom. So when I got to Korea, I still somewhat struggled to speak Korean. And so I would say the first 3 months was really, really rough because I look like a Korean person, but I didn't speak like them. So I would say the first 3 months, I feel like I was crying just about every day, because they would say, what kind of Korean are you? Who can't speak Korean? Because, you know, like my companion, who is very Caucasian American, you know, with the blonde hair and all that, she would have to translate for me here and there. And the ZLs, the very American, you know, they would have to translate for me here and there. And they were, I think, a little offended that I didn't speak the language. But I would say about 3-4 months later, just being immersed in it, I was able to pick up Korean and speak it with like little, not much of an American accent. So that helped me, I think, a lot, just, being able to talk to people. And I said the best compliment on my language on my mission was towards the end of my mission, this high school girls we ran into, talking to them, she said, because we're at a restaurant, and I was speaking to my companion, they came up to me and they said, you speak really good English. I was like, thank you. So,
and then after your mission, you married and have a family. Not, correct me if I'm wrong, but your husband, did he also serve in Korea?
Yes, he did. Him and I overlapped 1 month in Korea. So he was a trainer for MTC Elder that was in my MTC group. And I think that was the first time, probably, not very many sisters went out on mission. So it's probably first time in the MTC history. I'm not sure. But there were 7 sisters and 3 elders that was in my district. And so one of those elders went to my mission, and my husband was his trainer. So we met a few times here and there at training and things, but he came home months later. And then we ran into each other in front of BYU Library. So
the BYU Library's got to be a special place.
That's right. So BYU is a great place for us.
Well, a couple of things. Any other thoughts about your life here in the Globe Stake? Opportunities, events, things like that may have happened. And before we end, also like to invite you to share a brief testimony with us.
Globe has just been such a special place for me. I feel so grateful that, it's just a small town, but what a treasure place with so many wonderful, wonderful people. I know my testimony would not be where it would be if it hadn't been growing up here with just wonderful primary teachers, Sister Standage, and she was my Mary Miss teacher, teaching us the Article of Faith and just, fun little gatherings at her place. So I would say the special thing about Globe is the wonderful, just very down-to-earth people, and so grateful for them and the loving welcome that my sister and I received here. My testimony, I am so grateful for the gospel of Jesus Christ. I think we all have challenges and things, but for me, knowing that that I am a daughter of our Heavenly Father and that Jesus Christ loves me and knows me personally, I feel like with my life story that He has guided me, just being adopted into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints member family, and even my siblings in Utah that were adopted into different family. They, are strong members still, and just being a member, I think just loving and supporting one another has strengthened my testimony, and I'm especially grateful for the Book of Mormon, and I strive to read it, and when I do, every time I read it, I feel like, just different things that I'm going through, it has strengthened me and helped to make good choices, and I feel very, even though there's so many things going around us with, not such great things, but I feel so peaceful and happy to have the gospel in our lives, and I know I'm grateful for Joseph Smith. He struggled and went through so much hardships, but even through all that, he persevered, and we have the gospel today. And I say this in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Well, thank you very much, Sister Sowards, for meeting with us and sharing some of your stories. And good luck with all the activities you have going on in life.
Thank you.